Hey guys, I want to talk to you today about kids and speech and language issues that they may have. So stick around for that if you're interested. Okay, before I get into the main point of my video, I just want to tell you that in case you weren't aware, I do have a website called speechtherapygames.com, and on there I share thematic units of different games. Some of them are specifically geared toward speech language issues. Some of them are just in general fun things to play. And I also have a Teachers Pay Teachers website, and I have a lot of freebies on there. So if you haven't checked it out and you're interested in that in any way, please go check it out. I'll put a link. I never know where it's going, so one of these two corners. I'll put a link to that. And also down here I'll put a link to all my different places I put stuff if you want to go look at it. But anyway, now back to the main point of this video. Okay, so I just want to talk about what to do if you have a child that has some speech and language differences or just issues going on that have not been addressed. And I just want to say, like, in our community as homeschoolers, I do notice a lot of kids with speech problems that for whatever reason either are not being addressed or have not been addressed. So I just want to talk about that and talk about how important it is, just communication. It's so important. I'm doing it now. You're receiving it now. You know, it's important to everyday life. It could, from communication within your family to communication within your community. It's going to be important all the days of your kids' lives. It's a big deal. Okay, so if you have a kid who is having issues, it might be a little one, a tiny one, who's a late talker or very difficult to understand, or, you know, they're starting to stutter. What's that all about? You know, maybe you realize I'm talking to them and they're not really getting what I'm saying. You know, it might show up in their schoolwork, because if your speech is very impaired, then chances are your ability to read and your ability to write can have issues, because if your speech has sounds left out of it, sounds pronounced incorrectly, that's going to affect your reading and writing. Okay, and it might be something as simple as, like, Everett, last year he was in kindergarten. I addressed a list with him, you know, just because honestly I'm a speech pathologist. It was driving me crazy. You know, it was, can I eat some sandwiches? So we fixed it. It didn't take long. All I had to do was bring it to his attention, and it wasn't like I hounded him about it. I just started bringing it to his attention. Okay, I did have to teach him how to make that sound, which, I mean, it was the difference of saying, hey, when you say this, the S sound, is not the way you do it. You do this. You know, now there are issues. Kids have some funny ways they make speech sounds. Like if you have a kid with a lateral lisp where their air is coming out over here, that's a challenging sound to fix. You know, or if they're leaving off sounds, or if they're having sound substitutions, those can be rough. You know, those might be issues that you might need a professional to help you with, or you might just need some tips from a professional about. And just so happened that he was ready, and within not too long of a time, it was gone. We were done with that sound. And right now I'm addressing the R sound with Evangeline. She is 4. If she was in the school system, I wouldn't even be addressing that sound with her at this point. But because I'm home with her, she's learning to read. Now's the time. If we have a list of words, we're reading lip, rip, sip, tip, whip. It's going to sound like lip, whip, sip, tip, whip. Well, I point out to her, hey, you said whip and whip. This is a different sound over here. This is the R sound. Let's say rip. She might not be able to say it with her mouth, but I'm making her ears get trained to, when I see that sound, it's supposed to sound differently than the W sound. And she's already learning, and sometimes she'll try on her own. She'll be like, it doesn't come out clearly as an R sound yet, but it will because we're working on it. We're bringing it to her attention, and she's going to start picking up. She also has like the vocalic R sound, which is like all the sounds like in the middle and the end that are not that hard R. It's heya and my chaya and over there and let's go to church and she's a girl. It's those kind of things. Now all of those on her might not be affected because they're influenced by that vowel sound around them. So sometimes they might have the OR and the AR, but the ER and the UR and the IR are like a nightmare. Yeah. So it's worth addressing. If you have little bitty ones that are not communicating much, I noticed that Everett and Evangeline were very verbal as babies up. Elin was a reluctant, she was just more of a let me sit back and watch kind of person. She didn't start talking like right away. Well, I started using sign language with her because I was like, you're going to communicate. It's important because if they need to be able to communicate their wants and needs early on. I mean, once they start getting where everyone else is communicating and getting what they want, it can be a very big source of frustration when it just becomes just a groan fest. No, let's develop some vocabulary here. So I taught them basic things like more, but I didn't just say more what? More pears, more drink, whatever. We started working on that, and just sabotage. It's another great way to encourage speech and language. If they have a favorite toy, what's their favorite toy doing where they can't reach it? We have a problem, Oh, what do you want? Bear? Oh, bear. Yeah. You might have to learn some basic signs. Bear. You combine it with the word. You want your that's not bear. That's animal. You want your bear? Yeah, bear. It's up there. Okay, I'll get it for you. Please. Oh, please. Yeah. We just started doing that, and before long, her speech was coming along. And use the power of those siblings. If you have a bunch of kids, you can start the ones that have the good speech. Let them partner with the little ones and be their little speech buddy. Come on. Everett kind of took it upon himself to fix Elin's issue with how she pronounces Batgirl. She loves Batgirl. Well, she called her Batgore. So I'm Batgore, and Everett, she looks up to him so much. She loves her big brother. And, when he said, you're saying Batgore, well, it was about a month later, and she can say Batgirl now. Just because it was like, oh, being aware is a big deal. Once you pinpoint that, it really goes a long way. It just makes those ears perk up. And, maybe as a parent, you might have to perk your own ears up first because, I know how it is. You get used to those cute little ways they talk. But think about when you're down the road a few years. Those little cute things that, it's such cute speech, or when they're 2 or 3 or 4, when they're 8 or 9 or 10 or an adult, you don't want that to still be part of their speech. I mean, maybe you do, but I wouldn't think you would. One note about siblings. The power of speech works for the good or for the bad. So if you have older kids that don't have those issues addressed, guess what, Mom? They're going to pass those same speech sounds, or they can. They might not necessarily, just because kids are different. But sometimes I have seen it work in my experience that, the older kid had speech issues, and before long that little brother had them, and then here comes little sister and she has the same sounds. And that was in the school system where they were addressed, and I was helping them with that. If you're at home and you're not addressing them, when are they ever going to get fixed? And if you don't have a problem with it, hey, no judgment. That's your kids and your business. But I'm just saying, if you're kind of going, or maybe this is just to get you thinking, what are they going to be communicating like as older people in this world? You don't want, and I know like a big thing in our homeschool community too is we don't have a lot of bullying issues. But just keep in mind, it can be something you could prevent by addressing something as simple as speech. So anyway, I'm gonna post a link or put a link down there and up here or wherever of an article I wrote for Heidi at abcjesuslovesme.com, and basically it was me sharing like what to do if you have a child in the early preschool years that is having some struggles with communication. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. And, you know, one of the main things I said one of the ending things I said on there, I'm going to say here, go with your gut. If you have a feeling like you have a child that has a need that needs to be addressed, you know what to do. Address it. And whether it's a reading issue that they're struggling with, language, communication, any issue they may have, if it's something that's beyond what you can do as their parent and as their teacher, maybe it's something you just need a little bit of help and pointers with, it never hurts to ask. It never hurts to look for information on the internet. It is a wealth of information. So I just wanted to encourage you today with that, and I hope I did. And anyway, I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great week. Bye. It's just an issue. Come on, people. Let's address these issues, okay? Please.